A story about evil spirits entering the body was told by a girl, who said the following. I tell everyone about the story I witnessed from beginning to end. It's 100% true, it happened almost 2 years ago. The story is that you have a cousin. That year he was 28 years old. Has a wife and 1-year-old daughter. From childhood to adulthood, he never went to a fortune teller. But on the 4th day of the 2014 New Year, I didn't understand why the ghost was so unlucky that he followed his friend to the shaman's house to have his fortune told. Let me tell you a little bit about this man. This teacher was born in 1993. I heard this guy speaks very well. At the age of 17, he suffered a life-threatening illness. When he recovered, he became a different person, like he was neither a grandfather nor a grandmother, which people call LGBT, and then became a famous fortune teller. All the big men and women from the province and other places came to ask him to watch. But as for the type of person he likes, he will only see it, otherwise he won't say anything for a long time. Before that, in 2013, a family in my village had a fortune teller. He told this family to be careful or their daughter-in-law would have a severe drought this year and maybe lose her life. This house is just politely polite. In March, this daughter-in-law returned to her maternal hometown to celebrate her father's death anniversary. Because her husband had just gone to work for 2 days, his father-in-law drove mother and child home. When we left, it was okay, but when we returned, the father-in-law carrying the motorbike was startled because the car behind him honked and lost control. His daughter-in-law was thrown out when the car went behind. Then it stabbed. Died on the spot. Through that incident, the fortune teller's reputation spread throughout my village. Back to the story of his younger brother going to that teacher's house. Actually, it just goes with you. But as soon as he got to the gate of the teacher's house, the teacher came out to shake his hand, looked at his face and said a sentence as firmly as a nail. This year you will return to immortality, heaven has already marked your fate, you cannot escape. Yes, I have to say that every year when I hear this sentence, everyone is afraid of peeing their pants. My son was so scared that he went home and told his father. Later in the evening, while my family was having dinner, he came in and said, "Today I went to tell fortunes at the teacher's house, but the teacher came out and shook my hand and said that this year I will die." As soon as I heard that sentence, everyone in my family was startled. It's because of the new year. A while later, that brother's father also came to my house to tell me the situation. So my family advised me to go up to the teacher's house and ask carefully. Then the next day his father came up. The new teacher said, "My family only has one tree, I mean there's only one, everyone. This year, God has already marked their number." He lit an incense stick, and when it burns out, my son will go too. That's it. This guy hasn't been sick or hurt in the past 5 years, but suddenly he's skinny. It's because people sucked out all his vitality. It's true that he's really skinny, over 7 meters tall and weighs only 54 kilograms. It looks so boring. Everyone was afraid that he would be too skinny, so they didn't have him. In general, any father wouldn't be afraid to hear a fortune teller talk about his child like this. There's only one guy in the family, but the daughter is already married and doesn't count. After watching it, I asked, "Do you know how to solve it? Help me resolve it." The teacher said, "Do the ceremony carefully, move the palace and change the number, then you may be saved." After that, my uncle went home. To be sure, he went to see two more famous teachers' houses. The first teacher near his house said, "This year your child is limited, but if last year he fell off his bike, it's okay." It's true that in 2013, he fell off his bike and really shocked everyone. At that time, my uncle felt a little reassured, because he hoped that the other teacher was wrong. But the second teacher said, "There were people in your family in the past who behaved very badly, so in this life, your children and grandchildren have to suffer, but your son is unlucky, so he has to bear it all." Yes, after listening to the second teacher, I believed it 80%. That evening, my uncle came to my sister's house and asked me to read a card reading. Let me talk a little bit about this lady. This lady's fortune telling is quite excellent. She has a strong ability to tell fortunes, so she can also tell fortunes very accurately. She also played the role of letting the family's spirit enter her to talk. But she doesn't practice fortune telling, she only tells anyone who asks. All day long, I was afraid of saying the wrong thing and people would curse me, but if she told someone her fortune, there was nothing wrong with it. So many people kept begging her to watch it, but she didn't want to watch it and instead hated it. It's so ungainly. Okay, let's get back to topic. After reading the cards for my younger brother, she said, "This year my brother will have a severe drought, especially in May and December. Be careful of traffic, and don't go to dirty places, like places with dead people like cemeteries. People, otherwise the dead will see this guy coming, they will come back and capture him." After consulting a few places, my uncle's family decided to hold some ceremonies. But the most memorable ceremony is in the middle of February. At that time, the ceremony was very big for everyone. It cost quite a large amount of money, but my whole extended family, aunts, uncles, and uncles all participated. That day while worshipping, I heard that no one possessed the shaman, and they said it was exactly the same. The fortune teller above said that your family had very evil people in their previous life, so in this life there must be someone to carry the burden, and your family has the karma of dying young. I don't know who is so evil. Oh, I haven't told everyone that my uncle and my father are not siblings. But my father and my uncle are my children, my children. My grandfather and my uncle's father, that is, my grandfather, are two siblings. I don't know if everyone understands what I say. After a while, it was like a ghost had entered the group. My uncle's older sister was possessed by her grandmother. She kept shaking and then cried loudly. She ran to stroke her younger brother's hair and said, "I love this guy so much, I love him so much, everyone down here is running around too to save it, she loves it very much." After leaving my younger brother, my older sister ran back to call my father and said, "Oh, my son." To be honest, the whole family was scared at that time but still couldn't help but laugh. After a while, my younger brother also shook and coughed. When he asked, he found out that his grandfather had entered, asking for alcohol all the time. After the ceremony, those two people woke up. When asked again, they couldn't remember anything. Then time just passed by, Uncle Month. Every day on the 1st and 15th, we go to the temple to worship and celebrate. It's also good luck. Every month, I ask my sisters to read the cards. Until November, my grandmother passed away, my uncle's biological mother. At this time, everyone was relieved, probably because his grandmother had left, so the burden was on him, so it would be okay. But I didn't expect that. When I asked my sister to read the cards, she said it hasn't expired yet. In December you have to be extremely careful, don't go anywhere late at night. And also don't go out far away. Absolutely do not let your son go behind the house or down the alley below. Let me tell you a little about the scene in this city. It's true in a very dark way. Behind his house are luxuriant trees, but the tree is not his tree, the tree belongs to his neighbor's house. I heard there are some ghosts in this place, but that man's family can't chase them away, and the tree can't be kept tight anymore for fear of revenge. In front of the house gate is a fork, above there is nothing, the scenery is open because many houses live. The house in front and below is just as dark as the house behind it. When I was young, I never went there alone. Down below there is also a huge cemetery. I don't know what the customs and practices of ghosts are like in other people's places, but in my place, whenever someone dies in a family, in the next period of time, if someone dies in the village, that person's family must give a gift. People go down and sit at the graves of their family members when they bury them to preserve the grave. Must hold like that 3 times. On the 29th of New Year 2015, someone died in my village. My uncle's son voluntarily went to his grandmother's grave to burn incense and then guard the grave. When he returned, he went to my sister's house to play. Was also there, looking at his face he said, "You just went to grandma's grave, right? What did I tell you?" He asked his sister, "How did you know I was coming down?" "I haven't told anyone yet." My sister said, "I know by looking at your face, I won't go anywhere anymore, just stay at home." He also listens to his sisters. That morning, his family made dinner, the brothers in the house also drank wine, and then he went to bed. At 2 p.m., while he was sleeping, his father was watching the pot of banchan. Suddenly his father heard him howl loudly in the room. Howling in a very scary way. His father was startled and ran in. He woke up and said, "I'm fine, I was just dreaming." His father went out to cook banchan. After about 10 minutes, it started to really hit everyone. It let out a long howl and then asked to see my aunt, who was the fortune teller's mother. He kept saying, "Call him out here so I can meet you, you are my great-grandmother, I love him the most, he has a good heart, tell him to hurry up, tell him to go to the family church, call the aunts and uncles in the family to come home. Save this little brother, he's about to be taken away by demons, hurry up." I was so scared that I called my whole family over. A few people around there also ran over to see, just out of curiosity. They crowded the house but couldn't do anything to help. My aunt's mother and father's uncle told the fortune teller that when they arrived, they sent someone to buy offerings and then go to the house to worship, and to worship at my uncle's house as well. While worshipping, the incense bowl started to smoke. After finishing, Uncle too took the urine and used a rattan whip and hammer to wave it around the boy's body. The boy kept screaming, then he said, "Now tell boy A, boy B, boy C, boy D, the four of you are my father," the boy's father, my fortune teller's father's uncle and another uncle in the house, went to the shrines of her ancestors to call her to come up, She was in the sea so cold that she couldn't come up, so she let her spirit come back and enter her nephew to keep her. Damn it, the demon has captured 3 of your grandson's spirits, there are 4 more spirits left, quickly go and tell you to. Great-grandmother used to be very beautiful and her family was also rich. Married to a husband from a neighboring village. but the husband's family had some very evil brothers-in-law who were jealous of her and saw that she was rich, so they plotted to harm her. They killed my great-grandmother. It sounds like it was very barbaric. They cut it into pieces and then let it float down the river. But everyone knows how evil landlords were in the past. So its body kept rotting and drifting away. Wherever it drifted, the entire village, including buffaloes, cows, pigs, and chickens, naturally died. Afterwards, the people picked up her body and built a temple there, only then did the people find peace. And my great-grandmother's main temple is located near the sea, so when my younger brother called out, he said, "It's very cold at the sea." There are a few more temples but I don't remember the names. When my younger brother asked his uncles to go to her temple to call her up, everyone had to listen, because he said so even if he didn't believe it, he had to go. If anything happened to him, he would regret it for the rest of his life. That day everyone took a taxi and didn't return until 1 o'clock at night. But it's also strange, his younger brother sits at home and his uncles and father know where to go. When 8 o'clock arrived, he told everyone they are just arriving at the temple now, they just got off the bus. Hearing him say that, I called my dad, and my dad said, "Yes, I just got off the bus to the gate." To be honest, that day was the first time in my life I saw someone possessed by ghosts. I feel terrible but I still like to watch it. After finishing at 9 p.m., his younger brother switched to speaking in a different voice. At that time, he said that his uncle entered him. This man died young, then went to serve a general here, and then spoke another language normally. I don't remember what else this person entered and said, but basically he still entered it to avoid being taken away by the demon. But right now, his younger brother's face looks grey and gloomy. At 12 o'clock at night, it started to wake everyone up. At that time, the uncles and aunts also called to say that they had gone to all the temples. Everyone turned to ask him questions and he said he still remembered who asked him what things, but he couldn't control his voice. He only saw a very beautiful, white, round-faced woman at the end of the bed screaming at him and arresting him. Say what she means, until 1 o'clock at night, everyone goes home and goes to sleep. To be honest, when I got home, I had to walk close to my mother. I couldn't even open my eyes, thinking there was a ghost following me. Finally, its year of drought has passed. In the new year, on the evening of the first day of 2015, my uncle asked his sister to tell him a hexagram. While watching, she was possessed by her aunt. Up cried for a while and then told the story. On the 29th, when my son went to his grandmother's grave, he passed the intersection and was captured by the demon there, not the ghost in the cemetery that harmed him. That demon saw that his younger brother was about to die, so he captured him as his soldier. But he had been paying attention to his younger brother since the day his grandmother passed away, but he didn't catch him until the 29th. I will tell everyone about this intersection. This intersection is famous for having ghosts. Because anyone who passes by at noon when there is no one around is immediately possessed. When I was a child, I also witnessed several incidents at this intersection. There was a woman who went to school there at noon, suddenly threw her school bag and bicycle there, and climbed 2 steps up the jackfruit tree. Sitting up there for 2 hours, everyone growled, her eyes looked foolish. Then she had to call the village master to cast a spell of some sort before the other woman came down. And another woman went there and then returned. Screamed and ran throughout the village. In general, going through that intersection is very scary for me. I continued to tell the fortune teller. She said, this devil has a few more soldiers. His soldiers were also from the village and were captured by him and died. At first, the devil was alone at the intersection. He noticed my younger brother, so he followed me home. I heard that this ghost was a ghost on the ship. During the war, he died here and couldn't return home, so he practiced here and became a star. While my younger brother was sleeping, the demon captured 3 spirits, but my ancestral aunt was very sacred, so she entered his body to keep the spirits and not let the other guy take them away. At first, the demon alone couldn't do anything to my aunt, because its energy was lower. So he was kicked out of his uncle's house. When he was chased away, his younger brother started howling, like howling in frustration because he couldn't eat. The demon couldn't do anything before leaving. When he reached the gate, he met 2 more of his allies who were returning from a trip. These 2 guys look like 2 kids, but their faces look very fierce. Those 3 guys invited each other to come back to fight with my aunt. That's when my grandmother possessed me to keep his soul alive, and that's when he howled a second time, then said random things like that. Person. The moment his younger brother spoke and his voice changed, that was when his uncle returned. The fortune teller told me that he even brought soldiers on the roof to protect his nephew. If the house's aunts and uncles were not sacred, his younger brother would have died that day. After that incident passed, my younger brother and son are still healthy. Her face is rosier and fatter, giving birth to another quadruplet. That's just my story. My village was famous for having ghosts because there was a witch doctor who specialized in raising ghosts. He died, so my village is now in chaos. I can't help but go out at night, and this is the end of the story. If you find the story interesting, please give me 1 like and 1 subscriber. I hope everyone has fun listening to the story. See you soon in the following videos. Goodbye.